All right, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another week with us here at Apollo Racing Club. Tonight we will be racing at the Snetterton circuit over in Britain, but in an interesting turn of events, it started raining halfway through free practice, and right now the track is soaked, and we're about to go into qualifying here in just a little bit. I got a chance to speak with some of the drivers before we started the race. A lot of mixed feelings. Most of them negative. Nobody is looking forward to this. For those of you who don't know, you will find out shortly, but Snetterton is notorious for being a difficult track to pass on, as is characteristic of most of the British Grand Prix tracks. It's built on an airport. It's got some different taxiways, but it really, as I like to say, was meant for racing on two wheels, not four. So throw on top of the fact that the cars are going to be driving on the wet tire compound with water standing on the track, and man, tonight is going to be very, very interesting. How's everybody doing? Chat, I got actually quite a few of you out there in the wild that are watching tonight. How's everybody doing? My Saturday was pretty good. Got the chance to go out and do a little bit of a hill climb with some friends. For those of you who don't know, I'm a real guy. I'm a real world car guy as well. Got to go climb up a hill with some buddies, and that was a good time. Perfect weather for it. Kind of in the middle of the 60s and nice and sunny. Got to go up to its Bald Peak out where we live. Nice scenic overlook. It was a fun way to spend a Saturday, driving fun cars with good friends. But Liberty Ogre, hi Moose. Good to see you, Lib. Thanks for joining. One of my buddies tuning in to watch the race, which we will get to here in just a little bit. Right now, the last of the drivers are finishing up free practice, and then we'll get started with qualifying. I'll get the cameras looking over there. But of course, anybody whose cars are certainly going to go vroom, they're just probably going to be going vroom in some directions the drivers didn't intend, at least once during this race. So we'll see what happens. But we're about to start qualifying here, and and typically I like to wait until we've got the drivers on their hot laps before we start looking at qualifying. But given the condition of the track, seeing as it is still raining, and there's not any chance it's going to stop before the end of qualifying, I want to see what these cars how they're going to be behaving, just trying to get out on the track in time. So let's get somebody on camera who has left the pits. Now let's go ahead and get on over here. Let's do that and that. Oop. All right, and we got Niall Drake leading the charge. As we like to say here, he is a controller driving freak. He doesn't have a steering wheel, or he does, it's just not the best one, so he drives with a controller. It's going to be an interesting challenge for him today. Having that lack of force feedback is definitely going to make it more challenging for him to drive the car at the pace that I'm sure he would want to. But yeah, Niall Drake running the Nissan GTR for tonight's race. See just behind him in the number 6 car, right now behind the grandstands, Brian Katz. Going to be racing the number 6 Aston Martin, also out on the track. We'll probably be watching these two for most of the race, or at least for most of this qualifying session. But we'll be keeping an eye on the paces, see who's pulling out the good times, and it's going to be kind of an interesting qualifying session. So as I was mentioning, Snetterton is a very narrow track. As we're seeing, there's barely two car lengths, or car widths rather, on most of these turns and straightaways, so it really is difficult to pass, which makes qualifying all the more important, because every position that you can gain in qualifying is one fewer car that you have to try and pass when it comes race time. So these drivers are going to be pushing pretty hard, or at least they should be. Ordinarily, when I'm driving, I like to run the strategy of get a safe lap in and then start pushing. If I were driving today, man, it's 100% every single lap, because every lap you can get in counts tonight. But there's not going to be too much else to talk about. We got quite a pack of cars. Ordinarily, the drivers try to space themselves out a little bit more to give themselves some wiggle room, just in case they mess up a corner. They have some, don't have to stress about slowing up the car behind them. But Niall Drake is getting ready to start his first lap here. Let's go ahead and get the cameras on him. We're going to pay attention to Niall, see how he does today. Ooh, we can see the back end stepping out just a little bit. Russell's it back under control. I mean, and already, we're on lap 1 of qualifying. We're already starting to see the cars get a little bit sideways. We're going to be watching this corner quite a bit today. It's a very low-speed, hairpin, and it's pretty hot straight into it, and then you got to slam on the brakes. So if there are going to be accidents, that's probably where a lot of them are going to come from. And man, he is really struggling to get the rear end of that car planted coming around some of those corners. If you watch the back end, you can really see him starting to fishtail a little bit. But doing an all right job of using all the track. We'll check in with him in just a little bit. Let's hop a little further back in the grid here, because we've got some cars that are pretty close to one another, these two in particular. Get to watch the excitement of a couple of different drivers. Ooh, that Ferrari got a little bit wide out there on the outside there, but not enough to invalidate the lap. The Aston Martin's actually a very, very good car to be driving in these conditions today. A notoriously stable car to drive, sometimes to a fault, but that is going to be kind of a blessing on tonight's track with it being as wet as it is. And if this rain continues throughout the weekend into race time, he's going to be really glad he's driving that car and not the Ferrari that's behind him right now. Oh my goodness, the Ferrari goes for the pass in qualifying. Ooh. That's a dangerous proposition. I don't know if Brian's going to be the happiest about that, but the Ferrari is able to get the pass nice and clean. Glad we changed the cameras. Now let's see if the Aston Martin's able to chase him down. That Ferrari's going to be very, very quick around this part of the track. That nimble mid-engine platform is really beneficial to getting around some of these mid-speed corners. It does look like it's going to continue in that order. The Ferrari is going to be out in front for the next lap as well. And it might be a first on one of these streams where we saw a pass during qualifying. Getting a little closer to real-world motorsport. Liberty Ogre saying in the chat, British car good on wet British track, you say. It's funny how that works, right? But we are starting to get the first of our times across right now. Niall Drake does set the fastest lap with a 1:57.43. And actually, I can pull up those timings right over... Oh, there we go. Followed in second place by Matthias Tutta with a 1:58.0. Aaron Hill with a 1:58.7. And Arthur Chu actually snags third place right as I'm saying that with a 1:58.2, half a second faster than the previous podium. And then Max Sunkenlap comes across the line with a 1:57.1. He's going to pull the car over and put it back into the pits, I'm sure, to make some changes to the setup. Oh, nope, just slowing down a little more than I expected him to. Interesting. Let's take a look over here. Looks like we've got another couple of cars stacking on top of one another. Going to be the Ferrari of Brandon Gobes that almost stops it on the apex there, but let's go ahead and look somewhere else. We've got more and more times coming across. Quite the variety in the lap times. It's really, driving in the wet is not something a lot of these drivers practice, and we are going to see that come to fruition tonight, because if you have not driven these cars in the wet, and you try to during qualifying and race, you are in for an unfun experience. It's not a good time. I will, however, maintain I actually am one of those freaks that enjoys driving in the wet. I live in the Pacific Northwest, so that's what I drive in 11 months out of the year. So it's actually quite interesting when I started sim racing. And I'm gonna word vomit while we're waiting for some more times to come across. Actually, right as I say that, Niall Drake does set a new qualifying record here with a 1:56.8, shaving just about a half second off of his previous best lap. Max Sunkenlap now within 3/10 of that time, in third place, a second off of Niall Drake's time. And I was dissing him for, well, I wasn't dissing him, I was pointing out that he's gonna have a harder time of this driving with the controller, and it looks like the Irishman has proven me wrong. Because he's doing an excellent job of getting that car around the track quickly. We got a yellow flag, and it's immediately teleported back to the pits. Let's see if we can get a couple people on camera at the same time again. Here we go. Got Jeff Fleischman, and it looks like that's the Aston we were following Brian Katz just a little bit ago. Right now, Jeff has the advantage, about a 3-second advantage on the Aston Martin's lap time. We'll see if he gets passed by another Ferrari. And a reminder for anybody who's returning or new, we do have enough cars on this track, actually. How many today? We got 31 drivers on the track today. So we actually run a split qualifying session. So the first 10 minutes are reserved for the amateur drivers. So they get 10 minutes to get their qualifying laps in. And then once the 10-minute time has passed, they all have to either finish the lap that they're on or put the car into the pits. And then the pro licensed drivers will be allowed out onto the track. We'll see how those AM times stack up against the pros. And looking at how free practice went, there's enough variety on the field today to where I think our AMs have a pretty good shot at finishing fairly well in qualifying, which, as we mentioned earlier, is very, very important on a race like it is today. Oh, Jeff Fleischman overcooks it on the outside, puts the Ferrari out on the grass, and is unable to... Oh, and woo! Porsche got a little bit of a scare there. That's going to be Alan Zhu in the Penrose Racing 911. It's a little bit of a scare there. Ferrari gets turned around, and even if he's on the brakes with the track as wet as it is, he's just going to skid across. Almost collects a Porsche in the doing. Let's take a look at Niall Drake, excuse me. That was a misclick there. He is not settling for the best lap time of the AM split right now. He is 4/10 of an improvement in the Delta right now. Trying to squeeze as much time out of this track as he can, really making that Nissan work. Loses a little bit of time there on the exit, but finds it again in the braking going into that corner. Let's see what he does coming out onto... Or no, this is straight next. Very important to get a good exit here. And it looks like he's gonna get it. Well, let's take a look over at Brandon Gobes. We'll get back to Niall Drake in just a minute. Brandon Gobes in the Yas Queen Ferrari. Currently over a 1.5 seconds improvement since the last lap, continuing to find more time in that corner. Just 2 more to go coming around the final bend right now. Almost 2 seconds at the Delta, loses a little bit of it in the braking, now down to a 1.5 seconds. And now it's basically just a drag race to the start-finish line with a 1.5 seconds improvement. He's going to go from a 1:59.6 to a 1:58.1, moving him up, it looks like 6 positions into 6th place from 12th. I'm sure that's going to be a result he's happy with. We'll see if he continues to improve on it. Actually, nope, that's the end of the qualifying session for him, so got that lap in just in time. Matthias Tudda is the last AM on the track that looks like is going to post an improvement on the lap time. As we saw, the pros are making their way out onto the track right now, but Matthias is going to get to come across the line. It looks like it's going to be a banger of a lap, and I think it's going to be. Oh, just misses first place by 3/1000ths of a second. And Niall Drake is going to have some company on the qualifying grid. That is about as close as it can get without it being an exact tie. That is going to be a result he is certainly going to be happy with. Squeezing it in at the very last second. And the pros are making their way out of the track. They are going to keep a little bit tighter of a grid traditionally. Jeff Spangler in the Primus Flexus Lexus here. Man, I had to take a pause there because that was a lot of the same syllable, and I don't pronounce words good. So let's see, Primus Flexus Lexus. You love it. Let's see who else we got. We got the number 73 car, the AMG of Daniel Wright. Had a very, very good time in free practice. We'll see if that translates to a good qualifying session for him. Let's see, who's that right behind them? That looks like Mike Jones, and I would be right. I'm starting to learn y'all's liveries. I'm so proud of myself. Well, let's go ahead and we're gonna keep an eye on Daniel Wright here. Go for the wide cameras because we'll be able to watch both Daniel Wright and that Lexus out in front. All right, and they are going to start their hot laps now. Ordinarily, we would be saying they're not going to set their first lap right, or the best lap on the first hot lap because the dry tire compound does take a little bit longer to warm up. But running on the wets, as it looks like Daniel Wright is doing, softer tire compound, less surface patch, they do warm up a bit quicker, so you really can get out and push right away on these wet tire compounds, and that looks like what the drivers are doing. Somebody watching the gap between Daniel Wright and I think that's Jeff Spangler out in front of him, yeah? Yep, Jeff Spangler out in front. Right now, 1.7 seconds between these cars. We'll see if that gets any smaller. And it looks like Mike Jones is starting to close the gap a little bit too. The AMG staying nice and composed. And if these cars get really close to one another, I'm going to jump to the cockpit view just so we can see just how little visibility there is when these cars get close to one another. We see a little bit of it on camera here, but the spray coming off the back of the cars is much worse when you're inside the car behind them. I was giving some advice to some of the AM drivers before we started the qualifying session. It was like, you know, you got to pick one. You can either race closely and maybe finish, or leave a little bit of distance and wait your turn and definitely finish. We'll see what the drivers go with. Right now, this qualifying session's looking a little bit more tame than the AM session. Fewer passes happening early in the qualifying session. But, ooh, Lexus got a little bit loose there on the back end. The AMG almost loses it. You can see leaves a tire mark. Almost gets the, almost spins back around when he catches opposite lock there and runs a little bit wide on the outside there. Trying to get the AMG back under control. Looks like he's just barely gets it back under control coming around that corner there. He does manage to do all of that without invalidating his lap. Does lose quite a bit of time in the interim, and now he has Mike Jones right on the rear bumper to worry about. Let's go ahead and look at that cockpit. He's just a little bit far enough away to where you can still kind of see that, and we'll see he lights up right when you see the braking lights. You can barely see him there. And really having to be patient with that throttle. You heard how long Mike Jones was just kind of coasting there. Ooh, a little late on the brakes. Cook takes it a little wide. Manages to keep the car under control. And I should mention, though, let's take a look at these lap times as they're coming across, because we do have some upsets in the top three. So Durf Durfson, currently in the pits making some last-minute adjustments, does set the fastest lap time of qualifying with a 1:56.0. In comparison, let's see where Niall Drake was with a 1:56.7, so 0.7 of a second to Niall Drake. Still hanging on to a podium finish right now. Mike Jones with a 1:57.1, or 1:56.1, excuse me. Jeff Spangler, that Lexus we were taking a look at, currently battling it out with with Daniel Wright. It's a 1:56 point. So actually, we've got identical lap times between Niall Drake and Jeff Spangler. So it makes a little bit of a liar out of me when I said that it couldn't get closer than 3/1000ths of a second. Here we go with two tied lap times for third. Daniel Wright doing an excellent job of improving on the last lap. We'll see what he does coming around this corner. He lost a little bit of a traction coming around this last lap. If he can hang on to it, he's going to see a major improvement in that delta. And sure enough, he does. What was once a half-second improvement, now 0.8. We'll see if he continues to improve. He's going to. Now a 1 second improvement, now looking at a 1:56.3, which will be enough for third place if he hangs on to it coming around these last two corners. And it's looking pretty clean right now. 1.1 in the delta now. It crosses the start-finish line, and that is going to be an improvement of 1.1 seconds. That is going to move him up into second place with a 1:56.182. Now, once again, 3/1000ths of a second between second and third place. Take a look back at Tommy Kogan here. Crosses the start-finish line with an 0.8 improvement on the previous lap time, moving him up from 17th into 10th place, securing a top 10 finish in qualifying with a 1:57.3. We'll see if he's able to hang on to it. Ice 10 comes across the line right when I go to click on him, with a 0.6 improvement on the lap time, doing a 1:56.9, moving him up into 8th place. Let's see who else is out on the track right now, posting improvement. Right now, Mike Jones has the pace to set the session fastest lap of qualifying and loses it promptly going with the exit of that corner. Just not able to get the power down in time. Or maybe it was a late break and that's where he found the time. And with that delta gone, it looks like he's not finding any of it back. So let's go ahead and take a look at Andre Alfonso here. The number 999 BMW. Currently 0.3 up in the delta. 0.4 going into the braking. Let's see if he's able to hang on to it. Now half a second, 0.6. Is he able to hang on to it coming out of the exit there? It looks like he's going to be able to. So now a half-second improvement. That is going to be enough to gain him, it looks like, 4 positions, moving him up into the top 10 if he's able to hang on to it. Currently halfway through Sector 2 of the lap. We'll see. He's got a lot of track left here. Actually, we have a little bit of cars stacking on top of one another. Let's see if I can get the camera over there in time. Nope, never mind. They spaced out. It just looked like it was getting close under braking. BMW is going to be, well, I was going to say it's going to be a difficult car to drive on this track, but just in front of him, that Ferrari is not going to be much easier. Ferrari decides, you know what, I'm going to get out of that BMW's way. Runs wide off the track. We saw the BMW, it looks like of Andrew Jaski off the side of the road there. Yep, sure enough. Well, let's watch Alfonso here finish his lap. Now it's just a drag race to the start-finish line. Still a half second, 6/10 in the Delta. May find another 10th. He does, 7/10. Let's see if he can go for 8. Can I get 8? Oh, he crosses the start-finish line before he can find it with a 1:56.6, moving him up into 6th place. An excellent lap time with just a minute left in qualifying here. Javier Marquez also looking to post a pretty significant improvement. Loses a little bit of it on the exit of that corner there, but still 2/10 in the Delta, enough almost to put him in the top 3. Definitely will put him in 4th position if he's able to hang on to it. That McLaren is going to be a fun car to drive here. Lots of downforce, lots of aero assistance. Definitely going to be helpful on a wet track like there is tonight. Spencer Brown, a little bit farther back in the pack. We'll take a look here in just a little bit. Now a half second up. Tommy Kogan as well. Finds 6/10 in the Delta. Both of them looking at a major improvement on their position if they're able to get it across the line in time. Mike Jones, though, we're going to take a look here. Coming around that corner, finds another 4/10 in the Delta and is on pace to set the session fastest lap here for qualifying. We'll see if he's able to do it. Got a couple very tricky corners here. This one is especially fun because it is mid-speed and it just never really stops, so it's just agonizing to get around there. You really got to be patient on the throttle, otherwise you will spin the car. Using every inch of that track, kisses the outside of the corner there, finds a ton of time in that corner. 4/10 improvement, now 6/10 at the end of that corner. Let's see if he's able to hang on to it. He does, and he's going to set the first 155 of qualifying and probably the only 155 of qualifying, leaving a half second to him in 2nd place, and that is going to be something he is very happy about. Go ahead and take a look at Tommy Kogan. Qualifying is coming to an end here. The drivers will get an opportunity to finish the lap that they're on. Tommy Kogan does hang on to a 3/10 improvement, gains a position on Max Suntham lap, moving from 14th up to 13th. Got a couple of other drivers getting ready to finish. Jan Stam about ready to finish their lap with a 1/10, 2/10 improvement. Will net them a couple of positions gained as they come across the start-finish line, going from 23rd up into 21st, it looks like. And it looks like the number 73 car of Daniel Wright is going to be the last one to finish qualifying. Gains 2/10 coming around the final corner. We'll see if he's able to hang on to it coming in to the start-finish straight. It looks like it's bleeding away ever so slightly, but he does have a 10th in the Delta and loses it and is unable to secure 2nd place for himself, but that is going to be qualifying session, or our qualifying session, excuse me. And we have quite the range of lap times, running everywhere from 155 for Mike Jones, all the way down to, it looks about 2 minutes and 3 seconds is our slowest lap time out there. So it is going to be an interesting race. Now we're just waiting for the game to get us over to the race session. There we are. Oh, bad news for the drivers. As you can see, it is raining quite a bit more. Let's go ahead and hit drive here, and we'll do our as we do every race, walk of the track and take a look at these drivers' liveries. 31 cars on the grid, and it is a wet one. If you look up in the top left corner, or top right corner, excuse me, you can see what the weather forecast is. It does look like it may stop raining somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes into this race. Definitely no rain by the time we're at the 30-minute mark. But one thing that this game is really cool and takes advantage of is the wind system as well. Not very much of a breeze, so we may actually not see the rain blow off of the track until well after 30 minutes. We'll see what happens. But it is going to be a wet start to this race. I'm sure none of these drivers are happy about it. Maybe some of them are. But changing road conditions might happen during this race, and they'll definitely not be happy about that. If it goes from wet to dry, or even wet to damp, there are a lot of variables these drivers are going to have to keep account of that they may not necessarily be prepared for. So if any of you happen to have this up on another monitor, load a setup that's going to be good in both. Because there's a decent chance you might get wet and dry today. Which might be very, very exciting. Also, Liberty Ogre, thank you for subscribing with the Prime. I didn't catch that earlier. Very, very much appreciate the support to the channel. Helps us do what we're doing today. 1 minute until we start our pace lap. Any of the anybody in chat have predictions? How are we thinking this race is going to go? Is it going to be a bloodbath? Do I need to make another 20 sub bet that we're not going to get around the first corner without an accident? I think I learned my lesson last time. I don't think we'll be doing that again. My wallet didn't appreciate that joke as much as I'm sure everybody else did. But now we got 1 minute until the race starts. Not a lot to do until then. Actually, let's go ahead and we'll take an opportunity to look at the standings here. We're just going to take a look at the web page here. Again, and actually, opportunity to thank some of our sponsors. Big thank you to SimGrid for helping us organize all of this. That's what we'll be looking at on screen here. So we do keep track of everything as well as each race results finish here. Right now we're looking at the Split 1 standings here. So Matthew Tutta, excuse me, we had it on Split 2, Split 1. So Mike Jones, that white Nissan or Honda we were watching earlier, currently leading off the top 3. But these are our standings for Split 1 here. Just to give y'all an idea of where everybody's at. A couple of disqualifications here for no-shows. Paul Valenstein. Excuse me. He was nice enough to correct me. Last stream, I kept saying his name wrong. And that's our pro standings. Let's go ahead and take a look at our AM standings as well. Matthias Tutta is leading that off. Chuck Ho as well. Nick Schwartz. Not sure what that disqualification's for. That might be a bug. But we actually have, and I realize it's a little difficult to demonstrate this, we have quite the opportunity for some upsets in the AM standings here, especially with Niall Drake being the fastest amateur on the track. A first place finish would be massive. That'd be 18 points for him. If no other drivers snag points this race, that would put him firmly in 4th place, 4 points off of Nick Schwartz here. But we've got cars starting to go around the track, so let's go ahead and put that away. Wreck-It Bubs in the chat saying bloodbath. It looks like a kind of a sullen mood followed by with the ellipsis after the bloodbath. But drivers are starting to make their way out on the track. It looks like we have 2 cars starting from the pits. Maybe they had some mechanical problems on the grid there. Looks like Aaron Hill and Javier Marquez are going to be starting from the pits. Fortunately, the game does not punish them as much as it used to. It used to be you started from the pits and a lap down. Now they just start from the pits behind the grid. Let's take a look at the middle of the field here. Look at just how many cars again. Reminder, we've got 31 cars starting this race today. And given the conditions and just the general kind of dangerous nature of this track, I don't know if we'll finish with that many. I'm certainly hoping for all of my friends that we do. And just because I have the opportunity to do so before we get going too much quicker here, go ahead, if anybody's watching this and is not already, go ahead and join the Discord. Even if you're, that's exclamation mark socials. Streamer over here knows what he's doing. Never mind, it did it. Nightbot was just being slow, making me look silly. But if you haven't already and you're into sim racing, or really any game, we kind of run them all, go ahead and join the Discord. We always love to add heads to the driver count. The more cars on track, the more fun it is to watch, more fun it is for everybody to drive. It does make my life a little bit easier as well, because that way we can ensure that there are races all over the track, and as I'm sure you will see, really, there are races to be had at every pace here. So if you, even if you're just getting started, if you're interested at all, go ahead, click on that link, join the Discord, tell them I sent you. Would love to have you. We are getting ready to finish the pace lap here. Ordinarily, I would be saying these drivers are trying to warm up their tires, but with the wets, honestly, even going at this pace, they're probably warm enough to start the race. Really, I'd be focusing on warming up the brakes at this point. But just a couple corners left to go until we get this race going. It is going to be an hour-long race here at Snetterton, and it is going to be an interesting one as the drivers line up double file. And we get ready to start this race. We'll be starting from the Helicam, and we'll go ahead and get rid of some of the pretty things on the side here just so we can get more of the action on screen here. Well, we have one prediction for a bloodbath. I am inclined to agree, just given the track conditions. Try as hard as they might, these drivers, it's just going to be difficult to not have some minor collisions here, but I'm wishing them the best. But we are about to get this race underway. To everybody who's here from the start, thank you very much for joining us here. We're about to get this race underway. It's about to get a lot more exciting. I'm about to start losing my voice, but any second now, there is the green light. The green flag is waving. We begin the drag race down into the first corner. And it's going to be a mid-speed corner. We'll see if the drivers are able to do it relatively safely. That Porsche getting very, very close to the side of the Honda there, trying to squeeze out every bit of track that he can. But let's take a look at the middle of the field as well. Oh, and we've got contact there. Ferrari gets shunted off to the side. I think that's Jens Stam going to find his way back onto the track relatively drama-free. Looks like we've also got Alan Zhu off to the side of the road there already. Looks like just some carnage, not too bad of the carnage, but it looks like the leaders of the race are going to get away relatively unscathed, racing in single file already coming around those first two corners. Daniel Wright running wide and getting passed by the BMW next to him. Not sure what happened there, but it's going to be an easy pass. And then we've got Jeff Spengler up his inside going to try. Ooh, and we've got Mike Jones. The race, or in second place off the outside there, manages to not lose too many positions. But does get passed on the inside already. We've got cars off the track all over the circuit. But this race has definitely started. And they're keeping it nice and tidy, but very close to one another. And actually, we'll take this opportunity, because I think this is about as close as it's going to get. Let me turn off those nameplates there so we can see what the drivers are looking at. And then we're going to see the scoreboard. Now we're back to the cameras. Very, very little visibility. Basically, all they've got to look at is a clear rear view mirror and mist in front of them. And right now, Daniel's got his foot flat to the floor right now, pushing that AMG as hard as he can. Heavy hand of the brakes into this corner. He's going to, ooh, look at how close he gets to that Lexus. Just comes out of nowhere, and you can see there are cars side by side out in front of him. But really, you just cannot see anything from the inside of these cars. So really, we have the luxury of watching from the outside. We got a little bit of server lag there, which is why he ran off to the outside. But as you can see, when he resyncs back on the track. Ooh, but we've got a yellow flag in the rear here. Let's see if we can catch it. No, it just looks like somebody ran wide off the track and we got the yellow flag waved. Looks like it's going to be Tommy Kogan. But we have got close races everywhere. Paul Wallenstein here in the Bentley. Getting nice and close to, that looks like, that's not Cody Barrett, that's Arthur Chu in the BMW in front of him. But Durf Durfson, pretty sure that's my co-commentator, gets passed on the inside by the Honda. Let's see if he gets the switchback, and he does. Position gained and immediately lost to the Porsche driver. Ooh, and that Honda is pushing. Even though he was off the track just a little bit ago, he is going to get very close to the rear wing of that Porsche in front of him. Ooh, Porsche overcooks it a little bit into the braking zone. We'll see if he's able to get it back. It does look like he's able to. Maybe he's just running the wet line there, but is able to get the power down a little bit sooner than the Honda behind him was, and is able to grow a little bit of a gap coming around this straight. We'll see what happens under braking here. Looks like that Nissan is not afraid to go for the lunge up the inside. Thinks better of it this lap. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look back a little bit at our AM leader right now. Niall Drake gets a little bit loose on the backside there. Able to get the car, wrestle the car back under control, not without kissing the grass on the outside there a little bit. Manages not to spin the car. And it looks like it's going to be a drag race between him and this BMW, but he's got the better line. But what we couldn't see from that camera angle, actually, he was a little bit behind that BMW. Ooh, he's really fighting that car to keep it under control coming around some of these corners. And a reminder, everybody, he's driving with a controller, but the BMW overcooks it and runs wide out onto the grass. This is going to allow Niall Drake and a couple of other cars to filter through relatively drama-free. And that looks like Daniel Wright behind Niall Drake in 7th place. It is. There's going to be another good lap for Niall there. Andrew Jaski, just a couple of cars ahead, sets right now the session fastest lap of a 159.7. By comparison, the fastest lap of our first place driver, Durf Durfson, is set a 2:01.4. Let's take a look here. Spencer Brown and Mike Jones having at each other. The BMW of Spencer Brown really fighting for traction as Mike Jones goes wide. Maybe getting that power planted just a little bit sooner is going to let him a chance to try and get up the inside there. You can see locks the rear brakes a little bit coming around that corner, and that is going to be a position back, or maybe not actually. The Honda has to filter back in behind him and is not able to make the pass happen during that corner, so that is going to be a successful pass for Spencer Brown, securing second place for now. We'll see if the Honda is able to get that position back. It looks like it's going to be a successful pass, and that Andrew Jaski and the BMW behind the Honda is now pushing as well. And really, if you pay attention, you can see these cars are sliding around these corners, folks. Ooh, is he going to be able to get him? I don't know. The BMW is very quick, but that Nissan is slippery. Does not look like the BMW is going to be able to get around him on the straight. Let's see what he's able to do in the corners where the Honda does have the advantage. And we see we have a McLaren. That's going to be Matty Byrne behind him. Going to be trying to get a position as well. Let's take a look a little farther back in the grid. We've got Jeff Spangler, who I believe started in first place. Or no, wait, hold on. No. This is bugged. Started in 7th, down in 18th. Excuse me. I don't know what I was smoking. But had a fairly good qualifying session. Now is having to fight back up through the grid. We've got a yellow flag out on the kind of the edge of the track there. I think he just ran wide, making his way back out on the track. That's going to be the number 6 car of Brian Katz. Man, and just look how tight this grid is, running double file coming into this corner. Does look like Jeff Spangler able to get out in front of the car behind him. Oh, and we've got a Ferrari spun around just a second ago. That was going to be Joshua Kimball. Looks like he manages to escape getting major damage kissing that wall. Oh, and we've got Alan Zhu in the background there. You can see that Porsche off the track as well. And it does look like the weather forecast is changing quite a bit, despite the fact that the wind isn't blowing very hard, because right now we went from heavy rain to no rain in 8 minutes during this race. Exia in the chat saying hello. What's going on? How are we doing? And let's go ahead and actually, I reminded myself, let's go ahead and put this back over on the side. Try to keep track of where everybody's at. Yet, if any of you are watching on Twitch, I've not, for the YouTube viewers, I'm very sorry, I haven't found a way to try and view both chats at the same time yet. We will get there eventually, but if you're watching on Twitch, ooh, we've got a, looks like a Porsche sideways there. That's gonna be the 937 Porsche of Andre Lloyd there. Manages to get it back out on the track relatively drama-free. But as I was saying, if you're viewing this on Twitch, there is a chat. Feel free to talk. Chat participation is 100% encouraged because it gives me somebody to talk to, so that way I'm just not talking into the great abyss that is the internet by myself. See, Mark Vogt is really under pressure, or really putting the pressure on the Ferrari out in front of him. It's going to be Matthias Tudda, right now our amateur leader in the points. Ooh, runs it a little bit wide though, and that is going to cost him a position because the Aston Martin behind him is going to get around uncontested. That's going to be a free position gain for Aaron Hill. Let's take a look over here. We got a little bit of, ooh, that's a very beat up BMW that we're looking at. I think that is Ice 10, yeah, in the IXI 121 BMW. Ooh, that Porsche though gets a little loose coming around that. Exia in the chat says, I accidentally changed my setup and started on a dry tire and then couldn't pit for wets at the start. Oh, you hate to see it. That is unfortunate. Although, you know, I'm going to be completely honest with you. If the weather continues going the way that it would have, those slicks may have started working for you about halfway into this race. We'll see. It does say that it might start raining here in about a half hour. We'll see what it does. It's already given us one surprise. Ice 10, even with all of that damage to the front of his car, certainly going to be affecting his ability to handle the car at all. Managing to do an excellent job of defending the two cars that are battling him right now for 12th place. Just a moment ago, actually, we got an update on the session fastest lap. That is going to be coming from Daniel right now with a 157.6. They got is the fastest by almost a second on the grid. Actually, excuse me right now. First place, Durf Durfson has almost gotten him with a 157.7 right now, kind of running his own race. Looks like Durf has found his pace because there's a 10-second gap to Matty Byrne behind him now. And this is going to be quite the fast lap. Goes a little bit wide there and loses the pace, but this is, I think, going to be the session fastest. Let's see what he does with it when he crosses the start-finish line. And then we're going to take a look at the battle for second, because that battle for second is getting very, very interesting here. Yeah, 157.1, almost a half second between him and Daniel Wright. No surprise there, but Matty Byrne under fire from Spencer Brown, currently battling it out for second place. And we can see the sun is starting to come out now. What is going on with the British weather right now? And that, of course, is going to cause problems for these drivers, mostly because the softer compound of the wets really does need that water on the track in order to stay or keep from overheating. And I'm sure in just a couple of laps, if it doesn't start raining again, we're going to start seeing drivers take that outside line so that they can keep their tires from overheating. It is really getting sunny now. Got a yellow flag for the 653 car, runs wide off the outside. We saw Matty Byrne goes a little bit in the grass there, but gets it back in before the apex of the next corner. And you can really see the difference between the dry line and the wet line now. There are puddles on some parts of the track, and it is dry on others. Let's see what they do coming down the straights. Traditionally, this is where drivers are going to choose to take an opportunity to cool off their tires, because they're not going to be penalized for it. But yeah, there we go. You can see him going over into the wet part of the track to try and cool those tires off. This is going to be an interesting race, both because I'm going to have to try and keep up with what these drivers are going to be having to do to try and keep their cars just going around the circuit in a controlled manner. But also, you can see that track is dry. Like, that track is a 100% dry on the dry line. At least in places. But it looks like these two are loosening up, so let's go ahead and head a little farther back in the grid. We're going to join Jan Stam right now, currently in a battle for 16th place behind Felix Palliant. Palant? I think it's Palant. Let's see here. Looks like got a yellow flag. Ooh, right there, actually. That's going to be Paul Wallenstein. Oh, and that Ferrari almost loses control of the car, having to go wide to avoid a collision with that Bentley out in front. And now we've got here, let's go ahead and hop on the Helicam, just so we can see we've got several two-car tandem pairs here. It looks like they're going to space out before, but under braking, that Ferrari is going to get almost turned across by the Nissan there. Looks like the Ferrari saw it coming and gets on the brakes and is going to have to compromise. Oh, no! And then unfortunately puts the car out on the rumble strips, which is going to have reduced traction, and with the changing road conditions, that's enough to spin the car around, as the differential is just not able to keep up with it. Looks like it was just a light tap into the wall. Let's go ahead and see if we can get a little closer view of that. Yeah, just it looks like just scuffed paint, so hopefully not affecting his ability to handle the car. But right now, Niall Drake and Joshua Kimball are going to be battling it out right now. Really, this whole pack of cars is what we're looking at right now. Ooh. And yeah, you can see scuffed up side paint on the number 21 Nissan there. Ooh, we got a Ferrari out wide there. That's going to be, that's going to be Jeff Fleischman, I think. It is. Joshua Kimball as well now. That's two of the Apollo Racing Club moderators right there. You can tell them apart by the rear wing and the side view mirrors are different colors. It's the only way to tell them apart, otherwise they are identical cars. And it looks like Tommy Kogan is going to try and get around Joshua Kimball there on the inside. Does make the pass happen. Oh no, and then, oh, Jeff Fleischman overcooks it a little bit there and grabs the inside curbing, which just bounces the car up into Niall Drake, who gets pushed wide. And yeah, we can see that track is drying out now. So these wet tire compounds are going to be screaming at the drivers to change them. And I don't know, This is going to become a tire strategy race, folks. So, for those of you who might be joining us for the first time, a reminder to everybody else, there's a mandatory pit stop that is going to be coming up in about 5 minutes. The drivers will have a 20-minute window to serve it where they will refuel and swap tires. Now, the question is, who's going to be going out on what compound? Because right now, I see that it is going to rain in 30 minutes, but it also said that it was going to be sunny in 30 minutes, and then it was sunny 15 minutes later. So I'm not certain. This is gonna be interesting because you could go slicks and try and run the dry line and get the advantage there, but with it still being relatively damp on parts of the track, you're gonna have a really hard time getting those up to temperature, and it might be as bad as driving on overheating wets. I don't know. Let's go ahead and hop a couple of cars forward in the grid with Paul Wallenstein. You told me to fix it, and I'm trying my hardest. I'm sorry. My American is showing. He's really getting close to that Honda out in front. That Bentley is going to be an exceptionally stable platform to be driving on these kinds of road conditions. Oh, and I don't know if that was just a little tap there between the two of them or if the Honda got loose there. Excuse me, that was an Audi. Got loose there. Couldn't see it from that camera angle, but that is going to be an Audi spun to the outside of the track. That's going to be Felix Pallant. Yeah, that's an Audi, excuse me. Doesn't look like he took too much damage, fortunately. But loses a couple of positions. Ooh, and the Bentley is stuck there. A bad place to stop the car, but at least they're back in the order they started before they made contact. Presumably. Ooh, and he does get a little bit wide there, and is going to spin it around in the grass. Looks like a nice empty grid for him to try and get back out on the track there. This is going to make, oh, there's a McLaren and a Porsche. Now is your chance. Go ahead and go for it. Max Untitled going for a pass on the outside on Arthur Chu. Almost makes it look like the other BMW is standing still there. Very, very good pass for Max Untitled there. Okay, and another update on these changing track conditions. Not only is it drying out, it is heating up. When we started this race, I believe the track temperature was 28 degrees Celsius. Now we're up to 30. And with the drying track, man, these wet tire compounds are going to be almost ready to burst by the time it is time to go in for these pit stops. And what we're really going to be seeing, more than anything, is they're going to struggle to get around these corners. So we're going to see lap times almost drop off the face of the earth, as they are going to start struggling for grip, as these tires are almost certainly overheating by now. On a warm, drying track, not a good time. Not a fun time to be driving these cars. In other words, we have the best seats in the house, folks. Sometimes the drivers do, but right now we got the primo tickets. Let's see here. Jan Stam looks like going to be in a two-car battle for 18th right now with Joshua Kimball. Ooh, runs a little bit wide there and does make, oh my goodness, there's a lot happening right now. So what happened there? Oh no, and they're going to turn into each other again. These Ferraris really trading paint today. That's going to be talked about in the reports channel later. But looks like Niall Drake gets the best of that little exchange, manages to thread the needle between those two Ferraris and get out in front of him. We'll see if he's able to hang on to it. You can see the back end getting loose there again. Actually, just a few cars back, the Aston Martin of Aaron Hill and the Bentley of Paul Wallenstein are going to be drag racing down to the first corner here. Let's go ahead and hop in the Helicam. It does look like the Bentley is going to get the advantage of the inside line and is going to secure that position pretty handily, but it looks like Aaron Hill does have more speed. He's going to go for the late braking move on the outside there, try to utilize the wet part of the track, maybe get the power down a little earlier in the Bentley, and that is exactly what happens. But having to dodge to the outside there, not trying to predict where the Bentley would go, shaves off enough speed to where even with the better exit there, he's not able to get around that Bentley. He's going to have to try for it again later. Latam's in the chat. Nice race. We are only just getting started. We are 19 minutes and 30 seconds into this race, and we have had changing road conditions. We started with heavy rain on a thoroughly wet track, where now we are damp on a warming and drying track, as you can see. Barely any mist coming off the track as we look at the rear bumper of that Aston Martin. And a lot of these guys are on wet tire compound. They're going to be overheating these tires, and it is only going to be getting worse. But in 7 seconds, they will be allowed to go into the pits and make a decision on what compound they want to finish this race on. It's going to be very interesting to see what these drivers are coming out on. Got a yellow flag, Arthur Chu, a little wide off the track there. Looks like it's not a no collisions there, but he's going to lose a position to a Porsche on the outside there. He may get the car back up to speed before that McLaren catches him, but they are wheel to wheel now, and that McLaren's going to have the inside line going into the first corner, and that is going to be a pass for him. Javier Marquez picks up a position. You are really starting to see that dry line emerge now. Let's see here, looking for any other close battles right now. Actually, we have several folks diving into the pits here. So we got Niall Drake in the pits. We got, let's see, we're going to stay with Timmy Wilkins, just we're not clicking on him. Ice Tin in the pits. Paul Valenstein in the pits. Aaron Hill in the pits as well. Does make me wonder how many of them are going to come out on the dry tire compound and try and run the gamble to see if it does actually start raining in 30 minutes. It said there was going to be rain in 30 minutes 10 minutes ago. We have not seen the forecast change since. Dry tires might be the play here. We'll see how many of these drivers come out on slicks. We'll know in a little bit. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the battle for 11th right now. Javier Marquez does get around Arthur Chu like we saw a couple of turns ago. Ooh, and we pick up a stop and go 30 for the number 21 car. That's going to be Niall Drake. That's going to be speeding in the pits, picks up a stop and go 30. Not what you want to see when you dive into the pits first thing when the window opens. Another car exiting the pits right now. That's going to be Max Sunton, or actually Max Sunton Labs diving in. Let's see, Matty Burns in the pits as well. And Bruce Hopkins, actually, I'm just now realizing, looking at the team name, running the yellow and blue livery for the people in Ukraine. Love to see it. Yeah, that track is drying out. I'd be running slicks. I don't know. Anybody in chat who's a driver, what would you be doing right now? Would you be swapping out the wets for the dries? I'm pretty sure I would be looking at the track right now. You can tell Spencer's still on the wets because he's avoiding that dry line like the plague. Yeah, we can see that. That track has proper dried out at this point. Spencer Brown on camera right now with the current session fastest lap with a 154.332, which is promptly taken away as I'm saying that by Durf Durfson with a 153.9, with a half-second improvement on the session fastest, making that Porsche be very, very quick. It makes me wonder how many of these drivers may have already been on dries. Because if I'm not mistaken, that's pretty close to his qualifying time. Let's take a look here. If I can. I don't know if I can from here. I may not be able to. Oh well. But yeah, pretty much in a league of his own. Let's see, what's the gap to the next car? 11 seconds to Daniel Wright in second. Stretch it out until the graph changes. Yeah, that's probably what I would be doing, but right now we're actually looking at a greasy track now. Which that could be dangerous. Niall Drake clears his stop and go 30. Several more cars into the pits right now. Looks like Patrick, ooh, that's a tough name to pronounce. See Patrick Z in the pits, Jeff Fleischman in the pits, Jan Stam in the pits as well. Roadside Cookie trying to get around the BMW of Andre Alfonso right now. These two battling it out for 5th place. Lamborghini definitely has the draft here. We'll see if he goes for the outside or the inside move here. It looks like he's going to. Late onto the brakes, maybe. BMW does close the door on him. Yeah, and we no longer see rain in the forecast, folks. It's time to get slicks on those bad boys. See Daniel Wright and Spencer Brown. We're in 2nd and 3rd place now in the pits. Looks like Roadside Cookie is going to take this opportunity to get into the pits as well. The wind is starting to pick up a little bit, and I think it's actually blowing the weather away from us as we are seeing it is starting to warm up outside just a little bit. Let's see, nice clean pit stop for Roadside Cookie there. I'm looking for any close battles here, or really just cars stacked on top of one another. But what we got right now is a lot of people opting to come into the pits now. I'm sure presumably to swap out wet tires for the dry counterparts. Matthias Tudda on camera. This is going to be as our AM split leader. Actually, just out in front of him. I don't believe this is a battle for position. It is not, but we got two McLarens racing it out. We got Bruce Hopkins and... Let's see if I can get the car number next to him. Couldn't see it there. Looks like 33. Who's the number 33 McLaren? That is going to be Mark Vogt. Yep, that one. A couple more cars in the pits. We got Tommy Kogan, Joshua Kimball, and Alan Zhu in the pits right now. Also look like Brian Katz hopping into the pits. That is actually most of the field opting to take an early pit stop, with the exception, it looks like, actually no, Durf Durfson is in the pits right now. So that leaves Andrew Jaski, Andre Alfonso, Jeff Spangler, Bruce Hopkins, and Matthias Tudda, I think, is the only ones to serve a pit stop at this point. And actually, in another twist here, we actually have some light rain in 10 minutes. Looks like Great Britain is borrowing the weather playbook from my home state of Oregon. It's just changing its mind every 10 minutes. Right now we're looking around the field for anybody who's really battling for position. Doesn't look like there are going to be any. Mike Jones still has yet to serve a pit stop here. Which is interesting. Why would he be in 5th place if he hasn't... Wait. Did he get a penalty earlier and I missed it? Nope, certainly did not. Interesting. Not sure what happened to him, but if we take a look, started in 1st place, down in 14th, and hasn't served a pit stop. Not sure what's up with that. But it says, actually, it says he has served a pit stop, and it didn't count it? I am not sure what's going on there. That's very bizarre. Let's see, 2 more cars dive into the pits. It's going to be Bruce Hopkins and Matthias Tudda actually leaving the pits, excuse me, up on their out lap now. Niall Drake and Spencer Brown battling it out. This is not for position. Spencer Brown in 5th place. Yep, so Niall Drake's going to be the blue flag in this scenario. Keep hanging off the track, waits to rejoin until after that other AMG passes him. I believe that's Daniel Wright behind him. It is. And so that is a battle for position. So yeah, good on Niall to get out of the way of that, for sure. Alright, the track has gone from greasy to fast. That means it has dried up completely. No other wet spots for anybody on the wet compound to try and salvage their tire temperatures, but like I pointed out up in the top right-hand corner, it might start raining again. And we are halfway through the race. I talked over the radio announcement there, but now just 30 minutes remaining here at Snetterton. Oh, I had to take a drink of water there so I could try and make it through this race. Whew. Ooh, Spencer Brown goes for the pass on the inside, and he's going to make contact with the McLaren. Not sure whose McLaren that is, but they're not going to be happy about it. Looks like they're in P24. That's going to be Timmy Wilkins. Certainly not going to be happy about that. Takes the outside line to let Daniel Wright pass there on the inside. Not the cleanest of passes out of Spencer Brown there. We'll see what the stewards think about that after the race. Let's see, has Matt Burns served a pit stop? He has. So in an interesting turn of events, it looks, so Durf had a longer pit stop, maybe repaired some damage. Because he had as you all may remember, an almost 11-second lead on 2nd place, but Matty Byrne has caught up to him and passed him even. We've got 3 cars on the track that have yet to serve a mandatory pit stop. Mike Jones, though, has served a pit stop. Maybe he had a penalty? I don't know what happened there. That's very bizarre to me. Let's see here. Bruce Hopkins has got some company here. We've actually got quite the pack of cars, and I believe most of these are for position. That is Matthias Tutter right behind him, as well as Mike Jones. Yeah, that is the Porsche of P. Zexon. Is it Jexon? I think. You'll have to correct me after the race. If you end up watching the VOD, please do DM me. Tell me how to pronounce your name correctly. One of my biggest pet peeves in professional motorsport is when commentators get the name wrong. So just let me know. I will try my best to get it right next time. But yeah, Matthias Tudda definitely not giving that Porsche any room to breathe. We'll just be calling him Patrick today. You can see he is really getting right on the rear bumper of that Porsche. Now he's going to go for the pass on the outside, and that Ferrari just has so much power leaving the corner exit there. That Porsche just cannot keep up. And that is going to be a nice clean pass for Matthias Tudda to move him up into 12th place. Now Patrick's going to have to be thinking about the Honda behind him. Let's go ahead and see. I think it's camera 3. Nope, that's the front wing. There's the rear wing. We can see there's Mike Jones going up the inside there. Let's see if the Porsche on the outside line has the grip to be able to get the power down just a little bit earlier. Doesn't look like it. No, it's going to be a drag race into the next corner where he has the inside line. That Porsche does have the advantage. Mike Jones is going to go for the outside, though. Let's see if he's able to hang on to it. He's got the pace. It looks like he comes out in front of him, and that is going to be a pass on the outside by the Honda that just has that mid-engine is just able to carry more speed around that corner than the Porsche can, and is able to pass him easily on the outside. Now he's got the McLaren of Bruce Hopkins that's going to try and do the same thing to him here in just a second. The rain is Yeah, actually, Exia in the chat does point out something, very important detail. There are clouds rolling in, folks. We are going to have rain here probably in the next 10 to 15 minutes. And there is no question, it was still correct to get the slicks on, because if you were on wets right now, you would be a hazard to every other car. But it's about to get real interesting here, folks. Ooh, Bruce goes for the inside, at least looks at it, trying to get in the head of that Porsche driver. Not able to make it happen, not close enough. And actually, this is a 3-car battle for 14th here, folks, so we're gonna hang on to this for a little bit, excuse me. Because I believe this is the closest battle on track. This is the closest battle for position on track, so we're gonna, excuse me, hang out with these guys. Man, I'd be sweating bullets if I were any of these drivers now. They're going to be seeing the clouds as well, and they're going to know that rain is coming. The problem is it looks like it's going to be temporary. It might just sprinkle, just enough to throw everybody off. Ooh, a little bit of an interesting move there from Bruce Hopkins. I think slowed down just a little too much, and then the back end kicked out. He wasn't able to get the power down the way he wanted to, and that is going to let Patrick run away from him in what is now emerging as a battle for 15th position behind Bruce. And that is going to be Jan Stam behind him, as well as Aaron Hill, and then that's somebody squeezed in between them. Let's see if we can get the car. That is an Audi, the number 20 Audi. Who is that? Who's that belong to? That's Felix Palet. So he is actually blue flag in this scenario. Ooh, but we can see it is really getting darker out there, folks. Some of the drivers turning their lights on even. Ooh, an excellent pass there by Jan Stam on the inside. Does gain himself a position, moves up into 15th. We'll see if he's able to chase down that Porsche out in front of him. And we see the blue flag waving for that Audi in between this pack. Does look like he gets out of the way on the straight, though. Hitting the faster cars with the blinkers, though. Maybe he has the pace to try and get around these guys and try and unlap himself. Not sure. But the battle between Jan Stam and Patrick getting very close now, as this has evolved now into a battle for 14th position. Ooh, they are getting close, folks. They are getting real close. In any second here, I'm going to actually hop on the rear wing camera of that Porsche. Oh, there's this one. And we can see how close that Ferrari is going to get to him. You hear that that flat six roaring. Oh, and he's going to go for the inside move. Let's get to the outside cameras. Does look like the Ferrari's able to have it. And there's the rain, folks. It's just now started falling from the sky, and this race is about to get a lot more interesting. And it looks like it's going to continue to rain for the next 10 minutes, actually increasing. And actually we see the Audi run off wide. I believe that's actually going to be as a result of the track starting to get wet already. Watch the track condition up in the top right corner. We just saw the track go from 30 degrees Celsius to 26 in a matter of seconds. This race is about to get real exciting. Yeah, we've got a let's effing go in the chat. I'm right there with you, brother. This is about to get real interesting. Especially with this battle for 15th, or 14th, excuse me. With cars this tight in a, boy, yeah, the track has already gone from fast to greasy. Oh boy. Yeah, these slicks are about to live up to their name literally, because it is about to get real slick out here for all of these drivers, and it may actually rain through to the end of the race, or at least rain enough to where it is going to be wet for the rest of the race, and we can actually see it is already starting to make a difference. That McLaren, which has more aerodynamics than the Porsche typically, depending on the setup, is already able to make a pass on the inside, just has more grip than the Porsche. Oh man, it's getting real close in there for these drivers. Yeah, we've got yellow flags around the track already. It looks like Arthur Chu runs a little bit wide, gets it back out onto the track there. Oh man. Yeah, and we can see just how quickly that what was a pack essentially stacked on top of one another has already spread out, just because it's not safe to drive so close to each other in track conditions like this. But it does look like the Porsche is getting the worst of it. The setup of the other cars just handling the changing road conditions a little bit better, but it is not going to stay that way for too much longer, because any second now these slicks are going to lose their lose the temperature and the pressure along with them. And they're going to go from having tons of grip to essentially none. Although in Jan Stam's, a little bit of a Freudian slip there. That is quite the livery there. Gotta love the drip on that car. Oh my goodness, yeah, now we're up to medium rain, and it is going to continue to rain more. Yeah, look at you can already see the headlights starting to reflect off of the track, folks. It is about to get a lot more interesting here. Looks like Durf Durfson's starting to close the gap to first place. Matty Byrne losing the gap advantage that he had. Now it's down to 2 seconds. We'll see if that Porsche is able to catch up to him. And we've seen that Durf is very, very effective at driving in these changing road conditions. We'll see how Matt is able to hang on to it. Pit window closed. That does not mean that the drivers can't go in and change their tires. It just means they had to have served their mandatory pit stop before then, which it does look like everybody has done. Matt Byrne is going to go for the pass on the inside of that. Looks like Joshua Kimball. Let's see, we'll go ahead and look. We actually just missed a pass. Mike Jones gets around Alan Zhu on the inside there. Yeah, the Porsches are really going to be struggling with the rear engine configuration. It is going to be tough to try and keep the rear end under control unless they are running a lot of wing. But I think right now is when we're going to start to see Porsches lose some time here. We'll see if Durf is going to make a fool out of me, although I don't think he counts. He's clearly an alien. But I'm looking around for anybody that's in close contention for a position. Doesn't look like there are any. At least not for position, but we've got some tight packs here around the field. Looks like this is going to be Niall Drake and Javier Marquez. Nissan versus the McLaren. That front engine Nissan definitely going to be the car I would want to be in right now. Having all that weight on the front axle, pressing those front tires into the ground is really going to be helping with grip in changing road conditions like these. Yeah, and we almost have a thoroughly wet track now, down from 30 degrees down to 25 now. Ooh, McLaren struggling to get the power down. So was the Nissan behind him. Ooh, Matty Byrne into the pits. Actually, we've got several drivers exiting the pits right now. It makes me wonder how many of them have opted to change tire compounds. And honestly, that may be the play. These slicks are really going to be struggling for somebody who hasn't practiced driving them in the wet, and it looks like it's going to remain wet for the rest of the race, to varying degrees for sure. But sideline report: drivers starting cold tires, looking to the pits. Yeah, yep, that's pretty much what I would be guessing is going on right about now. Yeah, so yeah, the tires are just cooling off way too much. We've seen 5 degrees of difference on the track temperature, not to mention how much wetter it is, pulling the temperature off of those tires in the water. Yeah, they've got to be having cold tires. So yeah, it looks like our assumption was correct, that people are going to start diving into the pits to get the wets on. See, Matt Byrne trying to catch up to a car out in front of him. I believe that's Alfonso. It is. That's Andre Alfonso in front of him in the BMW. It's about a 1 second gap between those two. And actually, Max Sunkenlap. Here we go. So Alan Zhu and Mac battling it out right now for 17th position. Less than a half second between the two of them. And we'll see. Yeah, the BMW just gets around him like that Porsche's not even trying. And I don't think Alan's not trying. I just think that really that Porsche struggles on the dry compound with all the weight being off the rear axle. Just trying to get that power down is going to be impossible. Let's see, does he choose to go into the pits? Yeah, he's definitely going to be putting some wet tire compounds on there. Looks like Jeff Fleischman doing the same thing, as is Durf Durfson. Daniel Wright looks like still out on the dries here. And watch the back end of that Mercedes. Actually, even just trying to stop, you can see he's just sliding around that corner. I'm very curious what his inputs look like, so let's go ahead and take a look inside the car here. Yeah, you can see, oh man, he is really having to fight with that opposite lock, getting on the accelerator here. Let's see how he does under braking. Watch the steering angle versus where his car is turning. Yeah, he is just sliding straight off of the track, not able to get the power down or the grip in the front of the car. You can see why it is really now the time to get in there and change out those dry tires for the wet ones, because it is impossible to drive these cars right now. Let's see here. I'm looking around for any positional battles here. Doesn't look like we really have too many to work with. So actually right here we've got, come on, there we go. Ice Tin and Aaron Hill, it looks like, battling it out. It's going to be an Aston Martin versus a BMW. Britain versus Germany. And actually, both of these cars pretty good in the wet. The BMW can get a little hairy on the rear end. It's just got so much power. But that like we were saying earlier in the race, that Aston Martin's not a bad car to be driving on a day like this. It looks like he's going to be able to stay out in front. Is he already on the wets? He may already be on the wets. Yeah, he's served a couple of pits. So yeah, definitely already on the wets, as is Ice Tin. It looks like he's going to take a look up the inside here. By the time he gets to the first corner, yeah, he's got too much space there between the two of them to try and make anything happen. Let's see if anything happens under braking. Looks like they're closing up on that's Spencer Brown out in front of him, it looks like. Who just runs wide off the track. May still be on the dry compound. And is going to have to wedge himself in, or themselves in between. Yeah, in between the two cars now, battling for position. Now with a car in between, it looks like on the wrong tire compound. That BMW is going to close up the gap there and try and get around him. But there just is not room enough to let it happen. Now definitely holding up some traffic. And that Aston Martin has just got to be using this, like this, right now time is a luxury. You don't have the person battling you right behind you, run. Make as much of a gap as you can. Looks like he's going to try and get up the inside here. Ooh, that BMW really closing up the distance between the two of them. Not willing to yield the position, and actually it's going to cause an accident. Not able to stop the car, and actually we watch another BMW go wide off the track there, not able to stop the car. And right now, yes, Spencer, you got to get out of the way here, buddy. Lift on the straight. Well, either way, Ice Tin has the inside line, which is going to be the faster one coming into this corner. There we go. Actually, we're gonna hop a different spot on the grid if I can find it. Yeah, right here. Andre Alfonso is gonna be in the middle of a pack, currently sitting in P3. Around a lot of cars that are not battling for position, but Matty Byrne right behind him is battling for third position. Yeah, and actually there he is. That is Matt Byrne, already on the rear bumper of Andre Alfonso. Let's see the pit count. I believe, yeah, I think Alfonso's still on the dry tire compound, which is what's allowing Matt to just kind of close the gap. We can see the Porsche of Durf Durfson just a little bit in the background there. Ooh, yeah, there's no way he's on dries. he would have been sliding way too much. Just 11 minutes remaining, and just let's take a look at some of the position gains. Actually, an excellent race for Daniel Wright, starting in third, currently in P1. Spencer Brown starts in fifth, currently in second, and Andre Alfonso starts in ninth, now in sixth. Or in third, excuse me, gains 6 positions. That's the number I was trying to read. Let's see, we've got a couple of other remarkably successful drives here. Both Jan Stam and Patrick Z up 10 and 11th positions. Max something laps looking for the outside there and backs out of it before they get to the corner. That's definitely smart. Yeah, we are on a full wet track, and it is going to stay that way for the rest of the race. As we can see, it might maybe stop raining in 10 minutes, but it's going to start raining right after that. So anybody who's out on the dries really needs to be considering their options here. But now this is a 3-car battle for second. That's going to be Spencer Brown out leading the charge, and then we've got Alfonso right behind him, and then Matt Byrne is split or cut off behind the BMW of Max Something-Lap, it looks like. And that's followed by Durf Durson. Ooh, he's going for the gap in between the two cars, and it looks like he's going to be able to make it happen. Just a little bit of a tap there, but my goodness, what a pass. Like, we almost need to watch the replay. Let's see if I can get it to do it. Oh, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I really want to, but the replays are a little too janky with the default engine. Hopefully we'll be able to fix that in the near future. But man, what a pass from Durf Durson there. Yeah, we'll do it another night, Exia. Every time I try it. Oh, Spencer, give him some more room there, buddy. Woo! Really did not want to yield that position, but manages to get through it. And, yeah, and the reason why I try not to use the in-engine replays is because so that for that one I would have to do the 30-second replay, and it doesn't split it 15 seconds before and 15 seconds after. It's really kind of funky how you have to line it up, but just doesn't work the way I want it to, so we usually don't try it on stream. Fair enough. Let's see here. Oh, then this is very interesting, folks. That's another Aston Martin that is currently blue flagged, but Andre Alfonso catching up to Daniel Wright out in front. Both of them having only served one pit stop, which leads me to believe they are both. Are they both on slicks? Daniel definitely is, because his last lap was a 2:04, which is 14 seconds off of his best. But that said, a lot of the field's not going too much quicker, although Andre Alfonso does have a 4-second advantage on Daniel Wright. And yeah, we can see he's already closed that gap in just a couple of corners here. And Durf Durson joining the fray. We now have a 3-car battle for first. Matt Byrne not far behind. Yeah, and then Andre's just able to pass him on the inside. That's the difference between tire compounds, folks. Even though Daniel Wright was faster when the track was dry, he just cannot put up a fight. And speaking of putting up a fight, what happened there? Okay, we are going to hit the replay on this one, because I want to see what happened here. So it looks like Porsche goes... Yeah, okay, so I think that's a racing incident. The BMW it runs a little wide and gets loose on the rumble strips on the outside, loses control, and does put it into the side of the Porsche. It doesn't look like too major of a collision. Looking at that Porsche, just a little bit of a scuff to the paint. Andre looks up the inside, wants to get around this blue flag Aston Martin. It looks like, I believe that's the car of Brian Katz. Is the number 6 car? It is. So yeah, that is very much a blue flag car. He's going to want to be getting out of the way here so Andre can get back on the bumper. But that said, the Aston is doing a decent job of keeping pace with Durf in front. But you can see how impatient that BMW is getting now. Just wants to get this pass over with so he can keep fighting it out. And actually, let's go ahead and keep an eye on these. Oh, what are you doing, cameras? There we go. Durf Durson runs wide into the grass. Ooh, and into the wall? What happened there? We're going to do the replay again. Here we go. It wasn't enough. See, that's what I was afraid of. Yeah, now we got to watch the whole thing. But, yeah, it looks like maybe shunted off of the track there. Both him and Daniel Wright. That's a big hit. He's going to be having some front-end aero damage. And it looks like both Matty Byrne and Alfonso, and Brian Katz actually there in between, are going to get the best of that section there. Essentially run away unopposed from those other cars. Spencer Brown back in the fray, battling it out for third. Oh man, that Porsche of Durf has seen better days. Now 6 minutes left in this race. We'll see if he's able to hang on to it. DC Spud in the chat, spicy time to join the race. It has been an interesting race. We've had changing track conditions. We started wet, went to completely dry, and we are back to a full wet track again. Now with 6 minutes remaining, and some very beat up cars now, as we are starting to see some folks who are on slicks and decided to stay out struggling for grip, and some others just really, I mean, it is a difficult track to try and stay stuck to right now. And actually, just as we're talking about the changing weather conditions, we have now stopped raining, and I don't think it's going to start raining until the end of the race. Oh, and Spencer Brown gets on the outside of the track and collects Andrew Jaski, as well as the Audi of, oh, who is that? I don't remember their name, but that is an unfortunate mistake. I still think it's a racing incident. Just gets out on the outside of the track, and there is no traction out there. Spins the car around and collects a couple of other unfortunate drivers in the meantime. But Matt Byrne basically running unopposed. 5-second gap to him and Andre Alfonso for second place. Durf Durfson with a very beat up Porsche. And it really needs help with that front end grip. Again, the engine's hanging off of the rear axle, so really only aerodynamics and the fuel tank are helping that Porsche stay stuck on the front. And not having the arrows, yeah, you can see his braking distance is greatly increased and just cannot turn that car. And so now Daniel Wright's going to be chasing him down, and it's only a matter of time until he's able to get the pass. I don't think there's much that Durf can do here. Yeah, and I think he just yields the position because there really is no sense in trying to battle it. Oh, they're gonna get very close though. I'm not sure if there was contact between the two cars there, but I definitely see a yellow flag. No, I classified it as an accident. So yeah, that is contact between those two cars. Light, although it was, does shove Daniel Wright off the track, and that does lose 2 positions for him. Andrew Jaski able to weasel or squeeze his way through there. We've got quite the battle here going on in the back of the pack as well. We've got a little bit of a battle between 12th and 13th. 2 tenths between these two cars. Jan Stam in 11th, Arthur Chu in 12th, and Matthias Tuda in 13th. And this 3-car battle is very, very close considering the road conditions here. And you can see, just look at the way those cars are bouncing around and skidding on the track. Really, there is no grip out there. And you can see the BMW hopping over onto the wet line, trying to cool off those tires. Yeah, I did try to say weasel because he was being sneaky. Wasn't on purpose. All right, 3 minutes remaining. We got a yellow flag from Durf Durfson, who's in the pits right now. Yeah, probably just has to repair that damage. There's really nothing he can do about it. With that much damage to the Porsche, it really was a hazard to the rest of the track. If that was a real car and this was real world motorsport, he would definitely be towed back, or if not towed back into the pits, he'd be ending his race right about there. But that does give some very, very good first place finishing hopes for Matt Byrne here, who has just 2 minutes remaining in this race. Really, you just have to get it across the start-finish line right now. Not really a lot of pressure from the car behind, as you can see over on the right-hand side of the screen on the map. That triangle on the map track is Matt Byrne, and then we've got the red dot there is highlighted is Andre Alfonso. ACC needs to get on that tire HUD so you can see who's on wets and who's on dries. Yeah, 100% agree. There are ways to get around it. Without going too much into the technical weeds, you can theoretically stream your telemetry over UDP across the internet. That is a thing you can do. Spud, actually, you were there when I was experimenting with that for the 24 hours of Kyalami. We did try to get that working, so you can broadcast your telemetry. It's tricky to set up, and it's more work than I really think is reasonable to ask anybody to do. Ooh, the BMW is looking up the inside to get squeezed out by that Ferrari. But it looks like we might have the switch back goes to the BMW. That Ferrari, in trying to close the door on the BMW there, has to take a compromised line through that second corner there, and that allows the BMW to get set up and get the pass and make it happen. Just 40 seconds remaining here. Any second we're going to be hearing the white flag waving. Matt Byrne coming up on some lapped traffic here, which may be dangerous. We'll see. Any second now, we're going to hear the white flag wave for the final race, or the final lap of the race. 1 to go here any second. Okay, so there's the leaders on the final lap. Let's take a look over, excuse me, right here. Andrew Jaski in 3rd place, getting chased down by Daniel Wright in 4th. We can see that BMW's got some front end damage there. Probably doesn't have very much aero left, so it's gonna be interesting to see how he stands up to Daniel Wright. And I was wrong, folks. It is not wet through to the end of the race. We now see a damp track, just as a final FU to these drivers from the weather in Great Britain here at Snetterton. Right now, I believe this is the closest battle for position. You can see, man, just how much those cars are having to slow down coming around that corner just to have some hope at trying to get the car around it. And yeah, we're starting to see a dry line emerge, folks. The track is dry. It's warming back up again. And so these poor drivers, man, they have had to deal with everything tonight. Let's see here. A little bit of action going on here. Looks like we've actually got 2 Apollo Racing Club mods battling it out. It's going to be Joshua Kimball and Jeff Fleischman. Right now, Joshua Kimball in 19th. Let me take a look at where he's finished the last race. I was talking to him before the race started, and he is dead set on finishing this race, regardless of where he finishes. Doing an excellent job. Looks like him and Jeff Fleischman are going to be battling it out, though, to the very end. And we are about to have the race leader finish the race. Matt Byrne is going to finish in 1st place with a comfortable 5-second gap to the next car of Andre Alfonso. You can see in the background there, flashing his blinkers. An excellent finish there for Andre Alfonso. Certainly did not start that far up in the grid. Started in 9th place, finishes in 2nd. As well as Matt Byrne, started in 6th and finishes in 1st. Remarkable finish for both of those drivers. But let's go ahead and hop back to this battle between the Apollo Racing Club mods. I believe this is the closest battle for position on the track as we're getting ready to finish up here at Snetterton. Yeah, the ARC mods livery is fantastic, and I love the way you can distinguish between them, between the side view mirrors and the rear wing. I thought it wasn't going to help me all that much. It's actually helped a lot. Looks like they're going to finish in that position. Yep, 19 and 20. You see the blinkers from Joshua Kimball. He finishes here at Snetterton in 19th place, followed by another mod in 20th. Does look like Andrew Jaski finishes in 3rd, Daniel Wright in 4th, Roadside Cookie in 5th, Jeff Spangler in 6th, Spencer Brown in 7th. Looks like Patrick Z is going to cross the line in 8th. Mike Jones in 10th, or 9th, and Matthias Tuddas quite a bit back in the grid here, but will be finishing in 10th place unless Arthur Chu can get around him. 1.8 second gap still and just 1 quarter to go. I don't think it's going to happen, but anything could happen. That is going to be our top 10 finishing the race here with Matthias Tudda closing out the top 10. And that is going to be our race, folks. Now just a couple of other folks that were just staggered. There goes Jan Stam passing right there. Ice Tin is going to be finishing here with Bruce Hopkins close in tow. There's 13th, Bruce in 14th, and Aaron Hill in 15th. And that is everybody having finished the race. And that is going to do it for tonight's race. Let's go ahead and hit return to garage and take a look at the timetables before they change here. These are going to be this is our finishing grid here. Again, with our top 10 finishing with Matthias Tudda. And then again at the AM standings, we've got Patrick winning the AM race with Matthias Tudda in 2nd, Arthur Chu for the top 3, Bruce Hopkins in 4th, Aaron Hill in 5th, Max Dunlap in 6th, Niall Drake in 7th, Joshua Kimball in 8th, And that is going to be as much as we're going to be able to read, I think. No, there we go. We got it back. Josh McKimball in 8th, Jeff Fleischman in 9th, Andre Lloyd in 10th. And that is going to do it. Durf Durfson with the fastest lap overall, finishing in 14th after having to repair that damage, finishing 25th overall after really a very, very competitive race. But that is going to do it for us here, folks. Thank you for joining us for another weekend here at Apollo Racing Club. That was quite the race, difficult for us to keep up with the changing road conditions, but the drivers handled it pretty well, all things considered. We didn't see too many massive collisions or yellow flags or people flying off of the track, so big hats off to the drivers keeping up with those changing road conditions. To everybody in the chat, thank you for joining us. If you haven't already and you like what you're seeing here, go ahead and give us a follow. If you just want to watch GT3s, you can catch me here every Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but we have racing every night of the week here at Apollo Racing Club. Everything from IndyCar in iRacing all the way to F1 in Assetto Corsa, the older game. So really everything that there is for motorsports enthusiasts and sim racers alike. If you do want to drive with us, we are always recruiting. We take everybody, any skill level, whether you picked up the game or if you bought it while you're watching the stream and you're installing it while I'm talking right now. We take everybody. We want as many people as we can get in here because, as you can see, the more cars we have on track, the more exciting the racing gets. So if you haven't, go ahead and join us over there on Discord. Tell them I sent you. Hopefully we see you in there. But that's going to do it for us this night. Thank you again for everybody who showed up either from beginning to end or somewhere in between. It was fun to have you all in chat, and we will see you next weekend here at Apollo Racing Club. I believe, where are we at? We are racing at... I'm pulling it up right now. Don't go yet. Well, we'll be at another British GT track. We'll be at Brands Hatch, another notoriously difficult track to pass on. Also a very, very short track, so we'll see high lap counts and short lap times. Will be an exciting race. Catch us here next Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hit that follow button if you haven't so you get notified. And we will talk to you then. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for watching.